Hi all, I'm so lucky to have a good friend of mine, Georgie Lane, on the show with us this week, talking about leadership health. As leaders, we have a large responsibility to serve and help others grow. As always, to do this, we need to serve ourselves first, our own health and well-being, so that we're in a great state to be able to truly serve others and help them grow and reach towards their potential. Georgie's kindly provided us a Healthy Leader 2-week challenge, which you can download from the Enterprise Excellence Podcast website under resources. Thanks so much, Georgie. Let's get into the show.
Welcome to the Enterprise Excellence Podcast, where we aim to help create a better future. Learn from our world's experts how to improve and create enduring, high-performance, low-impact enterprises. Learn how to enhance morale, customer and purpose centricity, focus, and calmness. Learn how to create and sustain a culture of excellence at all levels of your organisation.
And I'm your host, Brad Jevons, coming to you from Brisbane, Australia. We are proudly brought to you in association with SA Partners, a world-leading business transformation consultancy. SA Partners are a truly purposeful company focused on helping organisations achieve sustainable improvement for themselves, others, and the planet. Welcome to episode 171 of the Enterprise Excellence Podcast. It is such a pleasure to have Georgie Lane on the show with us today. Georgie's purpose is helping leaders regain their energy, confidence, and lead better outcomes. Georgie is a specialist in all things health and well-being for leaders. Georgie holds degrees in management and health science. We are together today to discuss the importance of leadership health in leading excellence. Let's get into the episode. Georgie, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, Brad.
Really
pleased
appreciate
to be here.
Yeah, really looking forward to the chat. Such an important topic. And I guess the obvious question is, Georgie, why focus on leadership health when you're looking to improve an organisation?
I think I like to think of that analogy of when you're on the aeroplane and they do the safety briefing and they tell you to fit your oxygen mask first before helping others.
Yeah.
So in the same way that you need to be a supportive leader, you need to fuel your body and make sure you're in optimal health before you can be the best leader you can be.
Yeah, I
for
can
other
imagine
people.
that.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to lead well, but you yourself are not in a good place and not feeling good, it wouldn't be that easy.
No, that's right. It's going to affect your emotional health, your mental health, obviously your physical health as well. Yeah. You're going to be more reactive in the workplace if your body's, if your mind or your body are not at its peak.
Yeah.
And you're going to be not dealing with those stressful deadlines and KPIs and stressful situations.
Yeah. Yeah, I just reflect on my own career, Georgie, and I can think of the times when I wasn't in a good place, and it's the basics of my own health that were at fault. So it's such a true topic to talk on.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Georgie, if you think about a leader and you go, right, I want to get myself in a good place, I want to be healthier so I can show up better as a leader, and I guess it applies to home at the same time.
Yeah.
And I know that you work with people from all different backgrounds in helping them improve their health, improve their well-being so that they can perform better in life. What have you found are the key aspects to consider?
I like to just get back to basics and focus on the foundations of your health, and that is making sure that we're eating well, that we're getting enough sleep, and that we're moving our bodies.
Yeah.
They're kind of like, the foundations of our health.
So eat, moving, and sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from a diet perspective, we need the healthy fats and protein and carbs to fuel our bodies and be the building blocks of our bodies as well. So we've probably all have those moments where we've been hangry, we haven't had enough food to get our brains and bodies functioning for the day, or we've had, too many carbs and then we've had that sugar crash come down in the afternoon. That's just probably the main example there that I would say we've all gone through.
Yeah.
But the other thing to consider is the micronutrients that our bodies need as well.
Okay.
And I was just reading the ABS statistics. They did the National Health Survey from 2022, and less than 5% of adults actually reach the targets of 2 pieces of fruit and 5 pieces of vegetables a day. Wow. Less than 5%. So if we're not eating enough fruit and veg for those health benefits to obtain those micronutrients, then we're not fueling our bodies. We're not going to be in our optimal health.
Yeah. So Georgie, you mentioned like in there when it comes to the eating side of things, healthy fats, and then also the micronutrients.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other key aspect you'd say when it comes to eating apart from those two at a baseline?
I would say focus on, like, one of the most researched diets in the world is the Mediterranean diet. We've probably all heard of that.
Yeah.
And it's just really focusing on eating lean meats and legumes, getting enough fresh fruit and veggies, so eating the rainbow, because you're going to be then getting all the nutrients that your body needs through that variety. Healthy fats through oily fish and salmon and avocado and extra virgin olive oil and nuts and seeds as well. But the other clincher that I think a lot of people always forget is how much hydration can affect our bodies. So not just our cognitive function, but our having a healthy heart and everything else. It can actually affect your decision-making capabilities if you don't have enough water in your body.
Yeah, wow. Georgie, so on the healthy fats, you're there talking like the olive oils, the avocados, the nuts, the fish-based fat, salmon, that sort of things. And then the micronutrients that are in vegetables and the rainbow diet, fruit and vegetables, that sort of things. When it comes to hydration, and I guess it's part of what goes into our body, what are some important things to consider to stay hydrated? I guess the obvious is to drink regularly, but what can impact our hydration also?
Well, if you're in Queensland on a day like today and it's hot, we're going to be sweating more, so we're going to be losing more water from our bodies. If we're exercising, we need to drink more water.
Yeah.
And really it's just focusing on getting enough for the bare minimum for your body to function. So that needs to be at least 2 litres of water a day for everyone. If you're taller or a heavier build, you need to be drinking more.
Yeah, wow.
From a weight loss perspective, when I do a lot of weight loss clients, we get them to have about 35 mils per kilo of body weight. So some people end up drinking 4 litres of water a day.
Okay, it can crank up. Georgie, with water, I'm keen to know from you, I've heard topics like things like coffee and tea and alcohol can drain water from you. Is that correct? Or is that a bit of a tale?
Coffee and tea are diuretics, which means it makes your body excrete more fluids from your body. So, and then alcohol is obviously dehydrating. We've all maybe had 1 or 2 many drinks and then woken up the next day and felt the effects of that. So yeah, if you're drinking alcohol every day as a stress release kind of thing perhaps, then you're going to start the day off dehydrated every single day. So you need to be conscious of that as well.
It's interesting, isn't it? And I guess, when you're under pressure and you're feeling the stress, you can often lean to more tea, more coffee, more alcohol, can't you? I've done it, right? But you're actually draining your body of more liquids. And then if you're under stress, I guess you could be sweating more.
That's true.
Like it can all go the wrong direction, really.
Yeah. And I know we've all had those days where we've woken up late and the only thing we have for breakfast is a coffee.
Yeah.
And that's going to just send our cortisol levels flying to the roof, and that's going to in turn make us feel more stressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Georgie, with drinking, right, of course there's the old H2O. You can go to what Lions drink and drink water. How's it play out with other drinks when you think like soft drinks and cordials and juices and things like that, depending on what people are drinking?
As much as people might like to think juices are healthy, they're literally sugar because they don't have the fibre that fruit has to lower that sugar or that glucose response in the body. So I generally recommend people steer clear of juices and soft drinks in particular.
Yeah.
Water is the key. If you want to try and mix it up, you could have some sparkling water with some lemon and mint. Yep. Or you could have some herbal teas, like some peppermint tea, for example, that might give you an afternoon pep up instead of having a coffee.
Oh, yeah, okay. So lean on the herbal teas and options like that give you a bit of flavour, but can then actually don't have the effects of like normal tea and things like that. Yeah.
Even having an apple can, pep you up probably more as much as a coffee.
Okay. So Georgie, we're hanging the eating bit a fair bit here, and we've covered the good fats and then getting the right nutrients out of fruit and vegetables. And then we're on to hydration. I'm keen to go down you mentioned sugar, right? Like if we talk about sugar, what's the good, the bad, the ugly of sugar when it comes to eating?
Well, when you think of of how we used to eat back in the prehistoric days, we didn't have refined sugars and carbs. Our bodies aren't really made to tolerate living off carbs day in, day out. So if you wake up having toast for breakfast and then a sandwich for lunch and then pasta for dinner, you're probably going to be missing some of the other key nutrients that we need, like our proteins and our healthy fats. And of course, the vegetable intake, sort of coming back to why people are probably missing those 5 vegetables a day and the 2 fruits, because they're filling up on carbs.
Yeah.
And then we sit at a desk all day long, so we're not burning that, and that sort of leads us to put on excess weight.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I don't know, I've heard that previously myself, that a lot of those white breads and pastas and things like that, they're carbs, which is high in, drives a lot of sugars. And then it leads to those negative outcomes you're talking about. Like, what are some of the negative things that can play out if our intake is too much carbs, too much juices and soft drinks? I guess one is weight, but what else can play out with you, I guess, headspace wise and the way that you function generally?
Well, having those blood sugar spikes is going to affect your mood, because it's going to affect hormonal balance. The other thing with excess weight is it's not just about how we look, but excess weight, particularly that visceral fat around the belly, houses something called adipokines that can be pro-inflammatory in the body. And what they do is they create this chronic low-grade state of inflammation in the body. And inflammation in the body is what is the driver of all disease. It can also affect your gut health. Even artificial sweeteners can actually change the microbiome, which is the good bugs in our gut. So, you know, we need to be eating that variety of healthy fruit and veg and whole grains and the legumes and nuts and seeds we were talking about to give us that healthy gut, which could then in turn impact our mood.
Yeah, wow. There's so much to it, isn't there? Because as a leader, your mood and your headspace is so critical. And we've spoken about what the food we eat, but then our hydration can cause to that. But then there's also just general health, isn't there, like you're talking about. So there's a win-win here. There's a win-win. Georgie, if you don't mind, if we move on to the next bit, which is to move, what does movement do for us as a leader? You know, the fact that we regularly get out and move, and how often should we move?
Well, we are made to move. So we've probably all heard that saying that sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah.
You know, we think that we can just get by with only doing a gym session or 2 a week. Well, we're actually supposed to be, at a bare minimum, doing 30-minute brisk walks at least 5 days a week. That's the bare minimum government recommendations. But ideally, you need to do some kind of movement every day. It's kind of like if we don't make time for exercise, we're going to make time for illness.
Yeah.
So exercise boosts our immune function. It gets our lymphatic system going, which is the body's sort of waste system, I guess. And that doesn't have a pump like the heart that pumps blood around our body. You need to be moving for that to be working properly. There's impacts on mood as well, and again, on managing a healthy weight.
Yeah, wow. And Georgie, how much do we have to get our heart rate up? Like a brisk walk, you know, for me would get my heart up a little bit, but how important is it to get our heart rate up with exercise?
Cardiovascular health is going to keep, getting your heart rate up is going to keep our cardiovascular health healthy.
Yeah.
If you want to be burning fat, you need to be doing sort of at least 100, like over 100 beats a minute. If you want to be really burning those glucose stores, then you're going to be doing high intensity interval training, and that's going to be up sort of more around the 150 mark. But we need to get the heart pumping so that, our body systems are functioning properly.
Yeah.
Lost my train of thought there, sorry.
No, I can imagine that. I know myself when I exercise, you know, you just feel so much better for it.
Yeah.
But it's finding those, you know, those 5 sessions a week, 30 minutes to really get the heart rate up and get movement going.
Yeah.
Georgie, with movement, you can just do a walk and things like that. What's your thoughts on variety of movement and things like that? How important is it that we do more than one thing, or is just getting that movement in, even if it's a fast walk, is that good enough?
Yeah, if you've got no time, walking is good enough. Try and aim for that incidental exercise as well, like parking away from the office, so you're just getting that extra 10 minutes walk in each day. But I do recommend to a lot of my clients to do some sort of resistance training.
Yeah.
Particularly as we age, that muscle mass tends to drop off as we get older. So the older we get, the quicker we lose it, and the harder it is to maintain muscle mass. So we need to keep our muscles strong, which is then going to in turn protect our bone density as we age as well.
Nice. Hey Georgie, with movement, you've mentioned like if you can doing resistance, and you know I guess what comes to mind is weights, you know, and things like that. What's the benefits of things like push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, things like that compared to the full-blown weight type workout?
Well, they're going to do the same thing. At the end of the
good.
day, using your body weight is another option to using physical hand weights. You can even just use exercise bands. You could do something like Pilates or yoga. You don't have to just be in the gym lifting weights.
Yeah. I love it. Personally, I love the whole chin-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, things like that. That's good to hear. I'm glad. I don't have to
You're
go
on the
to
right track.
I don't have to go to the gym and pump iron. That's good to hear. So Georgie, the final bit we had there is sleep, and I've heard a lot myself lately about sleep. But why is sleep so important to us as leaders in the way that we show up and function?
I think it's a no-brainer. We've all had lack of sleep and then had to go to work the next day, and we've noticed the effect, right? Like your brain's not functioning properly. You're probably more reactive in situations than you would be, and you just can't concentrate. We need to be getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. Even if you think you can function on less than that, it's going to be impacting your health. So there's something in the brain. We spoke about the lymphatic system before, which is the body's metabolic waste system. But in the brain, the metabolic waste system is called the glymphatic system. And research shows that it's mostly only operational at night when we're sleeping. So we're literally repairing our bodies and brains when we're sleeping. So we need to make sure that we're getting that optimal amount of sleep so that we can function the next day.
Yeah. George, I had a friend once who was doing an MBA and working in a company, and he did only like 3 hours sleep a night for a good period of time. And he mentioned just his mental functions just tanked, you know, so it impacted his ability to do his MBA. It impacted his ability to do work.
You're going to survive for some point of time with that elevated cortisol. You're just running on adrenaline. But eventually it's going to catch up with you.
Yeah.
And the other scary statistic that I read from that National Health Survey from last year was that 8 out of 10 people in Australia, 8 out of 10 adults, have a long-term health condition, which means it's chronic. It's been going for longer than a year.
Wow.
So 80% of the country isn't very healthy. There's something wrong. And I see it every day in clinic. It's generally from diet and lifestyle related decisions. We could literally turn our health around. I see people coming off medications every day from just losing 10 kilos.
Wow. It's amazing, isn't it? And it's so simple, but it's not easy, is it? Because it's
not.
We're talking habit and
we're all human, and we get busy, and we, you know, lose our priorities for health and focus on other things, other demands.
yeah.
It's easy to do. Before you know it, you've gone, oh, hang on, when was the last time I had salad?
Yeah. When was the last time I had a glass of water versus just being on coffee or tea? Yeah, so many habits. So many habits. The old stressful day, and I'm just going to go into that fast food store.
Yep.
You know,
It's quick, it's convenient, but it's not the best fuel source for our bodies to be performing at their peak.
And I guess it's funny because, you know, to alter a habit, the one option we've got, which we can all control, is to pause and think. You know, so you got to catch yourself and pause and think. But it's thinking that slight longer term, isn't it? Because for the short term, you know, having the extra coffee or going the fast food or staying up later, for the short term, there's a benefit to it. Like there's a reward in some cases, right?
Yeah.
But if we just think past that evening to the next day, there's not a reward, you know, because the next day's impacted.
That's it. You don't get that sleep if you stay up watching Netflix or trying to finish off that report. You're going to just be exhausted the next day.
Yeah. Georgie, around sleep, just finishing off on sleep, there's a lot of conversations going on around all these different ways to get better sleep. Have you got any tips that you go, right, I'd recommend this to just go about getting better sleep?
Absolutely. We need to have a bit of sleep hygiene. So an hour before bed, go and have yourself a warm shower, put away your electronic devices, make yourself maybe a herbal tea and read a book and wind down.
Yep.
And then turn off the light so you know you're ready to go to sleep. You've just got to have that little routine set up. But staying away from your phone is key because that blue light is going to impact our melatonin production, which is going to affect our sleep cycle.
Yeah, I could understand there's benefits in being away from that mobile phone at that time of night anyway. You know,
It is.
triggering your brain with work
Yeah.
has just never worked for me at night time.
Yeah. No, we all need a break from our devices. It's we're on them all day long usually, so we definitely need to have that time away from screens.
Yeah. So Georgia, it's been really cool. You know, we've spoken about eating, we've spoken about moving, we've spoken about sleep, and like we've said, it's so easy, but it's simple but not easy. And what would you say is the biggest impact on, you know, leadership beyond these foundations of eat, move, sleep?
I think it would be stress.
Okay.
So we sort of touched on that a little bit already. But yeah, stress spikes those cortisol levels, impacts our hormones and physical health. And at the end of the day, it's going to impact our mood and the way we interact with other people and our performance. Chronic stress will lead to long-term health conditions, whether it's cardiovascular disease or autoimmune diseases, thyroid conditions, digestive issues, migraines, the list goes on of the impacts of chronic stress.
Yeah.
So we need to try and become more resilient to stress.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the stress itself that impacts us, it's our body's inability to deal with it.
Yeah. Now, Georgie, you know, with stress, like you and I were chatting about it, you know, even doing something new, it can create a level of anxiety. But what's the difference between like a mild level of anxiety or a mild level of stress and chronic stress? What's the difference between the two? How do they show up differently?
Well, anything new or, you know, difficult is going to, give us that cortisol response.
Yep.
But it's when we're sitting in traffic at the traffic lights and we're feeling stressed out because we're running late, and then we're late for another meeting, or we didn't get something finished in time. All of that is also a stress response. It's not, you know, the being chased by the saber-toothed tiger that we used to have that stress response from, but it's still going to trigger the cortisol release. So all of that adds up throughout the day. And it's just going to be a long-term impact if we don't learn how to deal with that.
Yeah, got you. So the stress is like a constant cortisol release, which constantly puts us into fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
And then we're just building up throughout the day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Back-to-back meetings, you know, feeling like you're constantly under time pressures, it's all going to be contributing to stress.
Wow. Is there any such thing, Georgie, as a good stress, or not really?
It is. It boosts performance. That's what the cortisol does, is it helps you become more alert and able to function on what you're doing at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just, in this day and age, with work, with family commitments, with financial stress, like there's just a constant barrage of it. And so if we're then not helping our bodies manage the stress response effectively by eating well, moving our bodies, getting enough sleep, the stress is going to eat away at us, and that chronic cortisol spike is then going to have those impacts on long-term health.
Wow, so really in today's day and age, it's the sheer volume and consistency of stress response that we're in that can lead to unhealthy outcomes, and it is ultimately not good for us.
Yeah, and leaders being in a management role, they're going to have even more stress than the usual person because they're dealing with everybody else's stress underneath them.
Yeah, and Georgia, I know even myself, when I was in senior leadership and I would have a major stressful situation, or I'd be in a stress response, my brain would become foggy. Like it can be hard to think clear when it's at that high level of stress.
Absolutely.
What is that that's playing out there where, you know, I'm in high stress, my brain's not thinking straight, and, you know, nothing's working well?
Well, that's the fight or flight or freeze response. Your body's freezing up then.
Yeah.
The cortisol's just gone to a point where your body's just gone, hang on a minute, I can't even think about my next steps.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha. So just like not being hydrated enough where our brain can become foggy, when we're at too high a level of stress, it can actually, the brain's like not actually performing well at all.
That's right. And we've all had those moments where we've had a situation where we've taken a step back afterwards and thought, I've completely overreacted there.
Yeah. Yep.
I think I just needed some more sleep, or I'd had a few late nights that have built up, you know.
Yeah.
It's really just about focusing on those foundations of health so that we don't get to the point where stress has overloaded our bodies.
Yeah, great. So Georgie, with stress, the eat, move, sleep foundations can really help. Is there anything else that you'd recommend to listeners to say, well, this can also help with stress? Any other techniques?
There's just general lifestyle changes, so reduce the alcohol, the movement we spoke about, but actually just getting out in nature, being near the blue and green, so the ocean or going for a walk in the bush can actually help bring down your stress levels as well. Meditation is proven to actually change the brain waves in our brains, so that can actually improve your concentration and your ability to actually learn and retain information, but also can impact emotional regulation. Plenty of research behind that. It's not just a woohoo hippie type thing.
Yeah.
And
I can vouch for meditation and mindfulness, Georgie, like that. That getting onto that path has been a godsend for me. Amazing how it can just rapidly just clear your brain and calm it down and chill it out. It's an amazing technique.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there any mindfulness techniques, Georgie, for listeners that might be like, I don't understand mindfulness, or meditation? Are there any simple techniques you could recommend to them where you go, look, just try this?
If you are a complete beginner, just focus on taking a few minutes to do some deep breathing. So what you should aim to do is literally breathe into the lower lobes of your lungs. So we call it belly breathing. So as you breathe in, your sort of belly is expanding, and then as you breathe out, your belly is contracting. And by doing that, you're going to be getting a deeper breath in. It's going to be activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which then will bring down the body's stress response.
Nice. That's a good tip. It's amazing stuff, Georgie. I so appreciate this conversation, and I know it's going to help so many leaders out there to think about these basics, which are simple, but like we said, not easy. And I guess it's really key is thinking about which ones do we need to alter individually. But what would be your 2-minute tip, enterprise excellence tip to leaders looking to go, right, I want to get into a better place so that I can lead more effectively and achieve better things?
It would be to just take stock of your current health. So what I mean by that is I challenge every leader listening to have a think about your mental and emotional health. How much sleep you've had in the last week, how good your diet's been, have you had enough movement, all those sorts of things. And then think about whether you believe that might have impacted on your leadership. Then take 2 weeks of really being strict with getting a good night's sleep, eating well and steering clear of the takeaway, not having too much coffee, doing some daily movement, maybe some daily meditation as well. And then rate your health again to see if there's been some changes. And I can guarantee you will have noticed that you've been more calm, more rational, better mental health, better physical health, and feeling a lot better in yourself, as well as being a better leader at the end of those 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's an awesome tip, especially for this time of year. You know, we're entering into the new year, and it's a great time to be thinking about that.
Perfect time to do it.
We just don't want this to be a normal New Year's resolution, do we? It's like, how can we... And that's a great tip where it's like, just measure yourself, gauge yourself, and hopefully it gives us the motivation to go forward.
Yeah,
Georgie?
I've actually got a handout that you can leave a link for listeners to help with that. So rating your stress, your energy, your mood, your sleep, your diet, your exercise, your water and your alcohol intake out of 10. After the 2 weeks, you re-rate that and you think about the difference that it's made to your leadership abilities. And yeah, it's just eye-opening when you actually track that and see the changes of how much looking after your health can impact your leadership.
Great, I'll definitely be doing that, Georgie. Thanks heaps. Georgie, you know, you study so much and you're so engaged in this space and helping so many people, but what's been a recent insight for you that you've had in this space of health and leadership?
I mean, there's been a lot of research, but it's starting to come out more in mainstream news as well around that gut-brain axis and how much the gut microbiome can impact our mood. And one thing that is interesting to note is that the more plants and diversity of plants that we eat in our diet, the better our microbiome health is going to be. So we actually need to be aiming for 30 to 40 different plant types a week in our diet. It doesn't have to be a heap of each, it's just a tablespoon of each is enough to alter that microbiome health and give us the healthy, happy bugs in our gut. It doesn't have to be, you know, just just veggies and fruit. It can be your grains. It can be things like chia seeds added into your porridge. It can be all of your spices as well. So it can add up pretty quickly. Yeah, but if we're not having that variety in our diet, we're not maximising our nutrient intake.
Yeah, it's amazing. So the tip there would be really think about what else can you add into your diet and get that variety happening.
That's it. Add a couple of extra veggies in your salad, some nuts and seeds as a snack, more spices in your cooking. Hello, puppy.
Yeah, it's awesome. Everyone, we've just had Georgie and I are recording on the back veranda of our property, if you're listening to on the podcast today, and we've got the two cavoodles who've come up to say hello. They're lovely. Hey Georgie, how can people reach out and get in touch if they want to learn more, get some help from you?
They can visit my website at www.pranahealth.com.au. They can reach out via LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook as well.
Yeah.
I offer personalised consultations to help people with their health as well as weight management. And I also do wellness workshops for, boosting employee health and productivity, but as well as health for leaders, doing workshops to help encourage leaders to understand how better physical and mental and emotional health is going to impact their ability to be transformational leaders.
Yeah, it's awesome. And everyone too, we'll be putting those courses that Georgie runs and events up onto the Enterprise Excellence Academy in the new year also, into the year I should say. And it should be easy enough for you to be able to get to. And Georgie, just one thing for the listeners, how do you spell prana if they're looking to type in Prana Health for your website?
PRANAHEALTH.
Yeah, great, Prana Health. Well, Georgie, thanks again for your time and knowledge and everything you have done and you continue to do. I know this episode's going to help so many people. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Brad. Happy to help.
Cheers, Georgie. Catch you later.
Bye.
What a great episode. Remember, you can visit our website, enterpriseexcellencepodcast.com/downloads to get hold of the Healthy Leader 2-week challenge Georgie has kindly provided us. Please like, subscribe and share this podcast to help others gain insights and create a better future. The primary key takeaway for me from this episode was the importance of considering your own health as a leader firstly, so that you are then in a great place to lead and serve the others that we need to in our lives. This goes for family as much as it does for the workplace. The steps Georgie took us through of what we eat, how we move and sleep are simple, but they're not easy to form habits around, as the alternatives can be so rewarding. The trick I've found is being very clear on your purpose for becoming healthier. These purpose elements are large when you think about it. The second aspect that has helped me is leaning into the rewards you gain from eating, moving and sleeping more effectively, such as the way you feel, the quality of the healthy food and the drink you have, the way you feel the next morning, how you feel after a run or walk, and how that helps you really get through the day. These new and improved rewards are not hard to find. It's just a case of being conscious about them. Thanks again for your time and knowledge, Georgie. Thanks for helping us serve our own health and then enable us to help serve others and create a better future. Bye for now.